to the right click and then open terminal. Then if we maximize the output and type in Scrapy, you will see a bunch of commands. The first one is the Scrapy version. The second thing is if there are any active projects. This message would be different, of course, if we were in our root directory or aka if we created Scrapy project. The very next message is the usage. Here we always have to run Scrapy command first and then print out the command that we want to use, options, and finally arguments. As you will see throughout this course, using really Scrapy is fairly simple and easy. And let's see, so the very next thing is available commands. So here we have a bunch of commands. The first one is bench. I rarely use this command, to be honest, and it's mainly used for benching out or really figuring out the exact performance of your Spider code. The very second thing is command fetch. This will pretty much fetch URL, as you can see, using the Scrapy downloader, or in other words, it will just open the URL with Scrapy. The third thing is gen spider. This will be used, so it's going to generate a new spider really with the template. So Scrapy has a bunch of templates. We will mostly use their default one, but they offer also crawl template for crawling the entire site and then printing out all of the different rules that you would like to get, or the pages that you would like to crawl. The fourth option is run spider. This will be covered in the separate video that I will record, and it's mainly used when you have some simple, maybe Scrapy projects, or when you would like to simplify the Scrapy structure. The settings, this will just print out different Scrapy settings. Shell is one of the most well-known Scrapy features, and it will be heavily used whenever we develop any kind of Scrapy project to test out or really to see if data points are there and to test out our code in general in small pieces and then copy and paste the output or really the commands that we write in our shell to the Scrapy code. Start project, this will be covered in a minute or so, and it will be our first command that we will input in Scrapy, and it will obviously, this command stands for starting or creating a new project. Then Scrapy version. So if we type in, for example, Scrapy version, you will see that we will get this message. So it's 1.1.2, and then the last command is view. So this will open URL in browser as seen by Scrapy. This will also be heavily used. The reason why you would like to use view is to figure out what actually Scrapy sees. So opening URLs with Scrapy and with your, for example, Chrome will be different sometimes, especially in JavaScript heavy pages. Just remember that. So if you go to the Scrapy shell and test out, I don't know, this quote that you would like, for example, to scrape, and if data is not there, even if you wrote a couple of different selectors, then just make sure to use Scrapy view command to figure out if the data is actually there, because on JavaScript heavy pages, the data will not be sometimes generated or seen really by Scrapy. That's about it. So let's first thing is that we are going to do really is start a project. So to do that, we type in, or first let's actually change the directory to our desktop so you can see the folder that Scrapy will generate here. To change the directory, we type in cd and then desktop, and here we have, or currently we are in our desktop, and first command, as I was saying, is going to be Scrapy. Then you can pretty much copy and paste this command. So Scrapy start project, and the command or option that you want to use is just the name of the spider, which will be quotes _ spider, for example. Hit enter and you will see the message that new project is created, and then we can start or create our first spider by first changing directory into the quote spider, so in this folder, and then finally generating spider. So let's navigate to the quotes spider. So if we copy and paste this command, hit enter, you will see that currently we are in the quote spider. So if we go to the folder, and for example, let's go back to our terminal and type in right now Scrapy, you will see that we get project is quote spider, whereas previously we had no active projects. And pretty much the way that you know that you are in the root directory is by looking where the .cfg or scrapy.cfg file is. This is the configuration file that Scrapy is going to be pretty much by default is going to create it. This will be covered a bit later on in a bit more details. The very next thing that Scrapy will generate is the folder, which is going to be the name of the spider. And then here we have a bunch of different files, as you will see, and these also are going to be covered in a bit more details later on. Init.py, items.py, pipelines, and settings. These are fairly really simple and beneficial to whenever you want to create some more complex Scrapy spiders, especially the settings.py file, as you will see throughout this course. And the spiders is the last thing that we will cover here. And spiders is just the folder, and here we don't get any kind of really files or spider files, Python files, whatever. We get just the init.py, so if we open it with our preferred text editor, you will see that it's actually just empty or commented out 2 sentences, which is pretty much nothing, right? To generate spider, we will go back to our terminal and type in then Scrapy, and then gen spider, so which will generate new spider using predefined templates. So copy and paste this command. And then the 2 options or arguments that we need to input is first the name of the spider. So let's say we want to name our spider quotes. And then second thing is the domain that we are going to scrape, or the site. So to do that, we go to the Chrome and then pretty much copy and paste this site that we would like to scrape. Paste it in here, and let's remove the HTTP part, and then we just hit enter really. And as you can see, we get message that that spider is created. And if we go to the spiders folder, you'll see that quotes.py is going to be generated. So if we open it with text editor, you will see the code is going to be pretty much, this would be the default code that Scrapy will auto-generate for the default template that we in this case used. So let's, for example, just generate another one. So Scrapy gen spider, I don't know, example, and let's use example.com as a domain. Hit enter, and if we type in, for example, Scrapy list, so this command, as you can see, it will list out all of the available spiders. You will see that we will get 2 rows, or aka 2 different spiders. So Scrapy list, hit enter, and you will see that we have example and quotes. If we go back to the folder, you will see that in spiders folder we have now examples.py, the init.py file, which was initially there, and also quotes.py file. So if we go to the example.py, you will see that code is pretty much going to be or stays the same. The class name will be different, and also the name of the spider and allow domains and start URLs will be different, while all of the rest logic such as method function name will stay the same. And that would be pretty much it for this video. In the very next video, we are going to start actually scraping something interesting on this file, so stay tuned. Hey there, so today we are going to cover how to start scraping the data with Scrapy, and those data points that we are going to collect is going to be, first one, it's going to be this one, so the header, and the second one is going to be this list of top 10 tags. The data that it's going to be scraped from is quotes.toscrape.com. let's begin right away. Let's open our terminal, maximize the window once again, and zoom it in a little bit to something like this. So the first thing, of course, is Scrapy, and the best really way to figure out how to extract the data with Scrapy is trying it with Scrapy shell. Scrapy shell is built upon IPython, so it has magic functions, autocomplete, etc. So the command is located here. So if we type in just Scrapy and then shell, so let's copy and paste this, hit enter, you will see a bunch of different outputs. You don't need to worry about all of this stuff for the beginning. It just has the bunch of info, really, messages and debug messages that just prints out different middlewares, the extensions that are enabled by default and overridden settings, etc. The most important thing that you need to know as of right now is that you should use previously discussed fetch function to actually fetch the URL. So to do that, you type in fetch and then open and close parentheses, and then either in single or double quotes, you should here input the URL to the site that you would like to open with Scrapy. So let's copy and paste this URL to our terminal. So paste it in here and hit enter. Now here we got two different rows of data, and the first one is just the date and the time that the message was sent, and that info message is that Spider is opened, and then the second one is that debug message and that it's crawled. So this 200 and parentheses indicates that response is successful. Most of you know that 404 would be returned probably if page was not found, 301 if it's redirected, etc. So as long as it's either on 200 or 300, we are pretty much good to go. And as you can see, this is the URL that we specified. So let's go back to the site. And the way that you normally scrape the data or inspect actually source code is by right-click and either going into the source code, so view page source, or you can just go to the element that you would like to scrape, which in our case is going to be this one, right-click and then click here, inspect. You will get here the elements, and here you will see that as I'm hovering over the H1 and then a HTML node, that we get different highlighters, as you can see. So headers are mostly located in the H1 tag, and Scrapy offers the response. So either you will see in Scrapy either response or, sorry, I can't type it in. So you will either see response or request. Response will be pretty much, as the name indicates, really response that is going to be returned. So in this case, we have 200 as a successful one, and then the URL to the response. The request is for requesting the URLs and figuring out the form requests, etc. That will be covered a little bit later on. So response is going to offer for selecting data either XPath or CSS selectors. Let's cover briefly CSS selectors. So to select this header right now, so this data point that I'm highlighting right now, or this container really, which contains H1, and then here we have a tag. We type in here response.css and then open and close parentheses, and either in single or double quotes, we can type in just H1. Hit enter and you will see that selector is found and that XPath is going to be pretty much the HTML node that I'm highlighting right now. So to actually get to the text, you can type in pretty much this, and you will see the H1 text is found in two instances. And let's, for example, concentrate first on the XPath because it will probably be easier. So the call to it's fairly simple. It's probably best to use actually XVATs, not CSS. At least in my experience, they are more robust, and really writing more advanced selectors would be probably a lot more easier with the XVATs than CSS. And also CSS selectors actually gets transformed into the XVATs before it's printed out. So if we just printed out response.xvat and then h1, you will see that we will get error, or really just an empty list, which is even worse in our case. So to actually get to all of the instances of the h1 tag, we type in just the double slashes and then hit enter. And as you will see, this pretty much data point here located or selector corresponds to this one. So when we type in response.css h1, so in our XPaths, the way that you go into the A tag, for example, so currently we are in this HTML node, we would like to get to this text. So the way that we actually do this is by going into this A tag, and then we would like to extract just the text. So let's navigate to the terminal and type in once again slash and then A. So this will go into every instance of the h1 tag, and then if found, it will go into A tag. Hit enter, and you will see that XPath is different here, and also the data that it's going to be returned is different one. So previously we were in h1 tag. Right now we are in our A tag, as you can see. So we successfully gone into A tag, and what we would like to do that, or really what we would like to extract once again, is just the text. So the way that you actually get to the text is by once again typing in slash text and then open and close parentheses, hit enter, and you will see that right now data is equal to the quotes to scrape, which corresponds pretty much to this section in the HTML node. To get rid of selectors and XPaths, we type in .extract, open and close parentheses, hit enter, and you will see that we just get the list itself. The U stands for obviously Unicode, and we get quotes to scrape. Now, if we want to get just the string and not this list, we type in extract underscore first. Hit enter, and you will see right now it's actually in the single quotes and it's in the form of a string. So that's how you scrape the first data point. How you actually scrape the second data point is going to be a bit trickier, but it's fairly simple. So we would like to extract all of the different tags right now from the right side of the page. So we go either once again by view page source, which will take some time to figure out where exactly these tags are, or we go to the first instance of the tag and then click inspect. And we will see here that the format is different than here, obviously, so we don't get any h1 tags or stuff like that. We get span, and then in that span we have class with the value tag item, and then we have the very next, let's say, sibling HTML node is a tag with the class tag, and then we have the href, which goes to the different page, and then we have the text, which reads love, which is our first tag really that we would like to get. So there are really numerous ways of getting to the data. The one that we will use is pretty simple. So we are going to isolate pretty much every class that has tag in it, or the value tag in it, and then we will just scrape text. Pretty simple, right? To do that, let's go to the terminal and then type in response.xpath, open and close parentheses, and then in single quotes, we will find every instance of the class. So the way that you do that is by typing in double slashes, asterisks, and then in the parentheses, square brackets, you will type in the monkey sign and then the class. And then you will type in here just the empty value. So this is actually the way that you write the class expat selector. The logic changes. For example, if you would like to just select the ID with some value, you would type in this. So it's fairly customizable and also fairly simple. So we type in class, and the class that we are looking for has the value tag, as you can see from here. So let's type this here and hit enter. So we get a bunch of different tags, which pretty much doesn't correspond to the data points that we would like to get. So as you can see here we have 10 different classes, or tags, sorry. And here we have probably 50 or so different selectors that are returned. So this is no good. So the way that you further isolate this is by going into the, for example, or trying in the class which has tag item, which is probably going to be a lot more easier to get at. So the reason why you get the different A tags is because if we go here, you will see that the selector, or really HTML node, is going to be pretty much the same. So we still have the A class, and then in the class we have the tag as a value. So this selector that we wrote pretty much goes into entire page and scrape all of these different tags, which we would not actually like to get. We would only want to get this first 10 data points. So to fix this, we type in our new expat selector. So we go to the inspect, and then we go to the one HTML node above, and we see here that we currently are selecting span with the class, and that class has the value tag item. Let's copy and paste this into our terminal. So we are going to select every class which has tag item in it, hit enter, and you will see here we have a lot less really data points, or selectors in our case. So let's calculate length of this, and it should be 10. So let's see, length is 10, which is perfect. So the second thing that we need to do is further isolate or get to the text. So currently we are selecting 10 instances of the tag items. So here they are online or in Chrome. And what we need to do is go into each and every one and go to the A tag and then scrape the text. So pretty simple, or really similar to the first data point that we collected here from the header. So how we actually go into the very next HTML node, which is in our case A, is going to be the same as with scraping the first data point. So we type in slash, then A, and hit enter, and you will see that selector actually changed. And then what we want to do, if we are into A tag, we want to just select the text from each and every A tag. So to do that, of course, we go in and type in once again the slash, text, open and close parentheses, hit enter, and you will see here our data is a lot more cleaner, and we can't actually call in, like last time, extract first to get just the data itself, because this will only select the first one really. So what you need to do is just call in extract, open and close parentheses, hit enter, and you will see it's in a form of a list. So hopefully this wasn't hard. In the next section, I believe we are going to cover how to actually write simple and more advanced expats, but you have a lot more details online on how to actually do this. And if you have any questions, how to extract any data points, or if something was confusing, you have a Q&A here, so you can try it out, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible with the answer. Talk to you in the very next video. Hey, so in this video we are going to cover this Scrapy code, or go over this code that Scrapy by default wrote for us, and also we will go over the two data points that we scraped previously. Let's go to the site. So this includes this data point and also this one, and we will yield it in our Scrapy code, so somewhere in the parse function. So let's begin with the source code itself. So as you can see, the spider subclass is scrapy.spider and defines some attributes and methods. Name, for example, identifies obviously the spider name. It must be unique within a project, so that is, you can't really set the same name for different spider, even though they are in the same project structure. Allow domains is a list of obviously allowed domains. If Scrapy encounters, for example, some different domain other than quotes.toscrape.com, it will not process it and it will automatically filter it out. Most of the time you would encounter this if you are, I don't know, crawling every URL on the site. Start URLs is either by default tuple, or you can define it as a list, and it's just it will be the pretty much first URL that Scrapy will process. You don't need to actually use www.parse, so let's exclude this. And parse is Scrapy default callback method in the Scrapy.spider, or aka the basic template that Scrapy offers. So this method is called when or for the requests without an explicitly assigned callback. Defining some other name, for example, will not work. So if you type here foobar, it will not work, or Scrapy will get an error. It has self, obviously, and the response self is because it's in a class, right? And response because it will get the response object or HTML nodes or HTML source code from this page. Let's save it as it is, and let's go back to the terminal. And here we have two data points. So the first one is somewhere here above, so the h1 tag text, which is located here. So if we copy this line and paste it into our parse method and assign something like h1 underscore tag as a variable name, and it's equal to this expat selector. And also let's go back to the terminal. This is the second data point is located at the end. So if we copy and paste this into our Scrapy code and name this, for example, tags variable, is equal to the pretty much this expat selector, and we will yield this two items. So by yielding pretty much these two data points, we will print it out in Scrapy output, and then you can maybe, I don't know, get this data to the CSV, JSON, XML, or any other database. So to yield it, we type in obviously the dictionary key. The first one will be h1 tag, for example, and obviously the key will be, or the value, sorry, will be h1 tag. And then the second set of keys and values will be tags. So type in tags as a key value, and then as an actually value, we type in tags. We will save this and go back to our terminal and open actually additional tab here. Let's maximize this. And first things first, of course, we need to go to our root directory. So we are changing directory into the desktop and then to the quote spider. We hit enter, and if configuration file is present as it is, so we are in the root directory, which is great. So how do you actually run it, or run the Scrapy spider code really, is by typing in Scrapy. You don't obviously have to do this, but command is here. So Scrapy crawl and then run a spider, right? So pretty much type in Scrapy, then crawl, and then name of the spider. Name of the spider can be retrieved either with the Scrapy list, which will print out two spider names. So this is the one that we are looking for. Or you can go to your text editor and see that name is quotes. So let's copy it from here, go back to the terminal. So type in Scrapy, then crawl to run Scrapy spider, and then paste the spider name. And let's hit enter. And here we have bunch of really output or logs, and as you can see, so it's some things really are similar to the Scrapy shell, so that Scrapy is started, overridden settings, extensions, middlewares, etc. What you need to know is just pretty much that when Scrapy is started and when it finished, really. So pretty much all of these data or rows of the output. So here we have that Spider is opened, that it crawled at the beginning, obviously 0 pages, and you will get this exact message every minute or so. So you can get how many there are crawled page and also scraped page. Telnet console, so you can copy and paste this IP address and then listen to it. And here we have the first URL, which is scraped, which is going to go to our homepage and then go to the /robots.txt. This actually page is not present, and that's the reason why we got 404. And then the second one is successful, which just goes to the homepage. So let's copy this link and then navigate to the Google Chrome and then paste it in here. And as you can see, it's not found. And the reason why this actually happens is because Scrapy by default, so if you go to the root directory, as I was saying, Scrapy by default will go to the start URLs and then it will append /robots.txt file to figure out to be a bit more friendlier to the site, let's say it like that, and to figure out the rules of actually what can and cannot be scraped. So we want to exclude this, so we go to the quote spider and then go to the settings.py, open it with your text editor, and here if you see there will be comments first that obey robots.txt rules, and then robots.txt _obey is equal to true. What you need to just do is set it to false, so type in false and then save it, close it, and then finally go back to the terminal. Terminal is here, and then once again run it. So Scrapy crawl, and the name of the spider will be quotes. Hit enter, and you will see that the message will be removed. So previously we have somewhere here message that robots.txt page was crawled and it returned 404 page status, but currently we don't get that because we excluded robots.txt obey. So we just scraped one page, and as you can see, we scraped it from here, and then we, in the dictionary keys and set of values, this is pretty much our yield statement. And since we scraped it just one page, then the info message of closing spider with the message that it's finished is displayed right after the scrape. And then there will be some bunch of Scrapy stats. So these all messages are pretty much the stats. And here what you need to really know is that if you are scraping some large site, for example, you will want to see the response status count. So since we only scraped one page here, we get 200 as a successful, as previously discussed, and 1 is a value. Finish reason, which is finished, also finish time, and also you have start time, so you can calculate how much exactly time it took to run spider. Item scraped count is also important, and we only scraped one data or really item because this is the page that we scraped. And let's see debug messages and also the info messages, which goes to the log count. So if you got any kind of, or if you think there was some error in the spider code, you will go to the log count /error and see if there were any kind of, or how many errors there would be. But as you can see, in our case, we didn't get any kind of error. And that would be pretty much it for this video, and I'll see you in the very next one. Hey there, so in this video we will talk about XPath and show some examples. XPath is language for selecting nodes from an XML document. Today we will extract data from HTML file. The file or the page looks like this, and the source code is simple as this. So XPath handles any XML or HTML document as a tree, and XPath expressions can also be used in JavaScript, Java, XML, PHP, C, C++, and of course Python, and many other languages. XPath includes over 100 or so built-in functions. We will use Scrapy shell and import selector, so type in Scrapy shell, and then we will type in from Scrapy selector, import selector. And pretty much selector, it's called because it selects certain parts of the HTML document specified either by XPath or CSS expressions. And to actually run it or get the data, we will type in HTML doc is equal to pretty much this string, and we will, let's see, paste it in, and finally we will assign cell as a selector, and we will, in the text parameter, of course, parse HTML document. And just to verify that everything is working correctly, let's see the HTML file, and the HTML file is, as you can see, separated by the new lines, so it's good to go pretty much. The first example that I'm going to show is going to go to the XPath, or the XPath expression is going to be /HTML /head and /title. This pretty much is going to, as you will see in a moment, select a selector with the title in it. As you can see in the data, we have the Unicode and then HTML node or the title, and then in it we have the value or the text of the title. We will also use extract, which will extract just the HTML node in a form of a list. And if we go back to our source code, pretty much what it goes, or really to explain further, this is called location path. And so as you can see here, we have steps separated by slashes. So we go first to the HTML, which goes here. Then we go to the head, which goes pretty much here, and then finally we go to the title, which goes to this pretty much HTML node. The second example that we are going to show is for selecting all of the titles in different matter. So pretty much to select all of the title nodes from the HTML tree, we can type in double slashes and then title, which will of course select only one title because there's only one title in this HTML file. If we want to, for example, extract all of the text from the file, we will type in double slashes text and then open and close parentheses. And of course, once again, this will select all of the text nodes from the HTML tree. Let's run it or show example for selecting paragraphs. The first example is going to go to the HTML and then go to the body and then finally extract P, which will select two selectors. If we call in extract, we will get the first paragraph and then the second paragraph, as you can see pretty much here. If we want to, we can also use or select all of the P's, such as, or as we did here with the text. So if we pretty much select this location path, this will also select all of the paragraphs. If we want to isolate some paragraph, in this case, for example, let's say we want to select the first one, we will type in here first, or if we want to select the second, we will just type in second or two. However, this can be also done with the list slicing with the Python. So if we type 0, of course, since Python is going to count from 0, we will select the first paragraph, and then if we type 1, we will select the second paragraph. So just bear in mind that there aren't any confusions because XPath counts from 1, as seen here, as it selects the first paragraph, and the Python selects from the 0, or counts from the 0, which will select, in our case, once again, first paragraph. Now, all of these examples are with the HTML tag surrounding the text that we would like to scrape. If we want to extract only text, we can type in /text and then open and close parentheses, as we did somewhere here. So let's see, when we selected all of the text. And pretty much to run it, for example, or to select first paragraph and select or extract only text, so pretty much this data point, we will type in /text, and here we get the results in the Unicode. Extract first can be used, for example, if we want to select only the either first instance of the tag or when we want to simply select first data point from list. And here's one example. Also, for example, if we want to select all of the h2 tags, here we will type in cell.expat and then double slashes, of course, h2, and here we see one selector because there is really just only one selector, and currently it's selecting pretty much this HTML node. If we want to select a tag from it, we can type in /a, as you can see, so it's currently here. And if we want to select the href, we will type /monkey sign and then href, which will select the pound sign as a URL, so to speak. We can also use, instead of the expat, you can use in Scrapy, of course, also CSS selector. So if we want to select h2 tag with the selector, we will type in pretty much this location path, and this will select, as you can see, the CSS or CSS really selector. And that will be it for this introduction video. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.